Part 3, Scientific Journeys, Chapter 34, Into the Mesa. The mesa stood like a sleeping giant above the ranch, its sandstone face glowing red in the evening sun. To the untrained eye, it was simply geology layers of rock strata stacked by eons of wind and water. But for the scientists, the mesa was a vault hiding secrets. Ground-penetrating radar had revealed anomalies inside metallic reflections, where only stone should be void, suggesting hollow chambers and planes of density inconsistent with natural sandstone. It was as if the mesa had been engineered. Drilling began with anticipation. At first, the bit chewed through soft rock sandstone, surrendering in clouds of dust. But then resistance. The drill struck something harder than granite. Sparks flew, the sound of steel grinding against an immovable force. The drillers cursed, adjusting torque, but the obstruction refused to yield. When at last fragments emerged from the borehole, they were not ordinary rock. They were metallic, layered with compositions resembling aerospace alloys, titanium, aluminum, vanadium, fused in patterns suggestive of deliberate design. The mesa was no longer just geology. It was a puzzle of engineering buried beneath Utah soil. Chapter 35. The Smoking Void. 3 years earlier, smoke had been pumped into a borehole to test for hidden chambers. Instead of drifting upward, the smoke was sucked downward, vanishing into unseen spaces. No outlet appeared, no cracks vented smoke back to the surface. It was as if the mesa had inhaled it. Now, as drilling progressed, the same pattern repeated. Fluids vanished into voids without return. Hundreds of gallons of water poured in, only to disappear. Somewhere beneath the mesa, an unseen cavity drank greedily, refusing to reveal its depth. Was this a natural cave system or something more? The radar scans suggested symmetry angles and planes that nature rarely creates. The possibility emerged that the mesa housed not just rock, but structure. A buried chamber, a vault, a machine. Chapter 36, Archaeology of the Impossible. To sift the drilling spoils, the team enlisted an archaeologist. With gloved hands and trained eyes, he examined each fragment for signs of human craftsmanship. Most pieces were unremarkable sandstone dust, quartz pebbles. But then came shards that set the camp buzzing, metallic fragments layered like composite armor. Some bore textures like honeycomb lattices, the kind used in aerospace materials to reduce weight while maintaining strength. Others showed traces of oxidation inconsistent with local geology. To an archaeologist, artifacts tell stories, but these fragments told a story outside human history. If they were man-made, they predated known metallurgy. If they were not, they belonged to a technology alien to this earth. The mesa, it seemed, was less a mountain and more a tomb, one filled with materials from a civilization unknown. Chapter 37, Predators of the Past. While drills probed the mesa, biologists probed the land. Scat samples near the bubble contained DNA fragments that defied explanation. Sequencing revealed traces of canids, wolf, coyote, but also alleles not matching any known species. Could these belong to dire wolves, the Pleistocene predators thought extinct for millennia? Legends told of massive wolves immune to bullets, creatures that terrified ranchers in the early days. Skeptics dismiss the stories as exaggeration, but DNA does not lie. If dire wolves roamed the ranch, how had they survived? Had the bubble preserved them in some ecological pocket? Or did they slip through from another time, another dimension, another version of Earth where extinction had not claimed them? The thought chilled the researchers. Predators do not obey human boundaries. If they cross through the bubble, then so might anything else. Chapter 38, Water, Blood, and Bone. The creek yielded more than GPS anomalies. It yielded remains, bones gnawed by teeth too large for coyotes, too strong for mountain lions. Carcasses of cattle mutilated with surgical precision organs removed without blood. Veterinary science failed to explain. Predators leave ragged wounds, not cauterized incisions. Knives leave traces of struggle, not sterile voids. Here, something consumed tissue as though flesh were vaporized. Microscopic analysis revealed heat damage as if the organs had been cut with energy beams. No rancher owned such tools. No surgeon worked in open fields at night. The implication was unavoidable. Whatever stalked the ranch used technology, not teeth. Chapter 39, Radiation in the Air. Dosimeters placed around the ranch recorded bursts of radiation. Not constant, but sudden spikes, bursts strong enough to sicken, but too brief to leave permanent damage. These spikes coincided with sightings of orbs, drone failures, and equipment malfunctions. Radiation is the fingerprint of energy. Its presence suggested processes, unseen nuclear reactions, particle acceleration, or something stranger still. Physicists compared the data to cosmic ray showers, but the bursts were localized, confined to the bubble's edges. It was as though the bubble leaked energy whenever disturbed. The ranch was not just haunted, it was radioactive. Chapter 40, The Human Toll. Scientists came seeking knowledge, but knowledge carried cost. Some fell ill after exposure to radiation burst. Others suffered burns without visible flame. A few reported nightmares, visions of shadowy figures, whispers, and unknown tongues. Skeptics called it hysteria. Yet medical records confirmed swelling fevers, even neurological effects. The bubble did not merely repel machines. It touched flesh, leaving marks. One guard described it best. It's like the place doesn't want us here, like it's pushing back. And still they stayed. Part 3 continues with chapters 4150. Chapter 41. The Language of Light. High-speed cameras captured fleeting flashes at the bubble's edge, streaks of light too fast for the eye. When slowed, they appeared patterned, pulsing like Morse code. Were they random sparks or communication? Some physicists suggested plasma discharges akin to ball lightning. But the regularity hinted otherwise. Intelligence speaks in rhythm. Noise is chaotic. These lights seemed deliberate. If the bubble was a machine, perhaps the lights were its language. Chapter 42, The Weight of Metal. More fragments emerged from the mesa, each stranger than the last. Spectrographic analysis revealed alloys resistant to extreme heat-layered composites unknown in commercial metallurgy. Some contained isotopic ratios not matching earthly sources. One fragment bore microscopic striations, parallel grooves etched with nanoscopic precision. No natural process carved them. They were machined. If these were artifacts, then the mesa was not merely a geological formation. It was a repository of technology buried long before human hands learned to smelt iron. Chapter 43, The Hollow Mountain. As boreholes deepened, sensors confirmed vast empty spaces within the mesa, cavities large enough to house aircraft tunnels stretching in geometric precision. Geology can produce caves, but not straight lines, not right angles, not chambers aligned like architecture. The conclusion was inescapable. The mesa was hollow, and what lay inside was not natural. Chapter 44, Wolves in the Shadows. Night vision cameras recorded eyes gleaming from the darkness too high off the ground for coyotes. Shapes moved massive and silent, vanishing when lights approached. Tracks appeared in mud far larger than modern wolves, claw marks deep as chisels. DNA matched nothing in global databases. The dire wolf was no longer just theory. It was a shadow in the fields, a predator stepping out of time. Chapter 45, Lessons of Fear. Fear is data. The human brain reacts to threats long before conscious thought, registering danger in subtle cues. The ranch amplified this instinct. Even hardened men confessed to terror and irrational certainty that something unseen was hunting them. Neurologists studying these reactions noted elevated cortisol disrupted sleep cycles and spikes in amygdala activity. The ranch was not only an experiment in physics, it was an experiment in human resilience. And it was winning. Chapter 46, Machines that Fail. Over time, a pattern emerged. The more advanced the machine, the more likely it failed at the bubble. Analog tools survived, compasses spun, but still pointed somewhere. But digital electronics corrupted signals, and software glitched. It was as if the bubble targeted complexity, erasing higher technology while sparing the simple. If so, then the bubble was selective, and selection implies design. Chapter 47, Theories of the Edge. 3 dominant theories crystallized. Natural anomaly, a geophysical phenomenon of magnetism, radiation, and seismic energy. Ancient technology, a buried machine, perhaps spacecraft, projecting a protective field. Dimensional portal, a membrane between worlds where creatures and energies cross. None fit perfectly. All carried fragments of truth. The bubble defied classification because it belonged to none of them or all at once. Chapter 48, into the abyss. As drilling pressed, deeper tensions grew. The sense of intrusion mounted as though each borehole tapped not rock but nerve. Electronics failed more frequently. Shadows moved in the corners of vision. One night, alarms blared without cause, sensors detecting motion inside sealed labs. Cameras showed nothing. Yet in the silence, researchers swore they heard footsteps. The ranch was no longer passive. It was responding. Chapter 49, Whispers of the Past. Legend spoke of forbidden ground, cursed by ancient conflicts. Some suggested that the bubble was a scar of war, a weapon left behind by a civilization long gone. Others wondered if it was a beacon, a lighthouse for travelers between stars or dimensions. The orbs, the signals, the predators, all could be pieces of a larger design. And if so, then Skinwalker Ranch was not an accident, it was chosen. Chapter 50, Beyond Science. By the end of Part 3, one truth was clear: the ranch was not merely a subject of study, it was a frontier, a place where physics, biology, and psychology collided in ways that defied explanation. It demanded courage not only of scientists, but of humanity itself.